Hello everyone, welcome to Under the Guise. I'm Victor and this is Angel without wings.
Hi, Victor.
Oh,
Hello, everyone. I'm afraid I have left my wings at home.
Oh well, never mind. Anyway, we wanted to talk this episode about Elon Musk's decision to move his companies to California, from California to Texas. A few weeks ago we already discussed how heavy income tax levied by California state was one of the reasons for his departure from California. But another reason is the harsh epidemic controlling measures. In the last video we also talked about the cramped regulations aimed to control the pandemic and how they are conducted at the cost of people's freedom, autonomy, agency and basic rights. So today let's talk further about the pandemic controlling regulations in California based on socialist officials' abuse of power, but under the guise of ensuring people's safety and health. The current governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has made such a regulation. He divided all businesses and social activities into essential and non-essential. This was all done in order, of course, to avoid spreading the virus, but all non-essential businesses and activities had to be closed, and only those essential were allowed to operate. But of course, then you
Wait. So far, this kind of method might sound reasonable, but I have a feeling that something has gone wrong.
Oh, well, what could have possibly gone wrong then?
Let's put aside if it makes sense to make such division and to stop some part of businesses and activities. Just think about it. All the social businesses and activities are divided into so-called essential and non-essential. But who defines what is essential and what is non-essential? How did they draw the boundaries? What's their criteria for making such division? And did they ever ask for opinions from the society?
Well, you're right, actually. If you think about it, it's not tenable at all.
Of course not. They impose standards made by themselves upon the whole society and each individual. If you do not comply, not only will you break the law, but also you will have to bear moral pressure, because the authorities have totally occupied moral high ground, so that they can judge on behalf of the whole society. They can never be questioned.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. It's indeed a totalitarian approach to impose standards set by a small group of people on the entire society. And in California, this is also the case, of course, but actually the situation here is even worse.
How so?
Well, that's because of what they deem to be essential. For instance, the category of non-essential includes churches and restaurants, while the category of essential includes strip clubs, abortion clinics, and marijuana shops.
What? This
Yes.
is unbelievable. This is surreal. I mean, I bet my Christian friends will not accept this at all.
Crazy how it works, huh?
The message behind this decision cannot be more obvious. Believing in God is non-essential, but indulgence in desire is essential. The root of this tendency, I think, is precisely communist atheism.
Absolutely. But for California, this isn't even the craziest.
What? Is there something even crazier?
Well, haven't you heard of this pastor of the Godspeak Calvary Chapel in Thousand Oaks in California?
So how is it?
Well, he recently registered his church as a strip club in order to comply with the regulations. And what's more important, he also wanted to satirize, of course, Newsom's rules. And he even symbolically danced a piece of striptease at a sermon in November last year.
That's so sad. Those believers have been oppressed to such extent by such crazy regulations. If the authorities don't encourage religious beliefs, that's all fine. But they prioritize the standards of atheism in society. They even have already taken the first step to hinder the religious congregations. That's very worrisome. Like a Christian in China, they are only allowed to study a revised communist version of the Bible, a version that frames Jesus being a thief or a criminal and something like that. Another typical example is the persecution of Falun Gong. Falun Gong practitioners are forcefully transformed. It means they have to abandon their belief, which is based on the principle of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Many people may be more familiar with the persecution of a Uyghur minority in Xinjiang, but actually, the persecution of Falun Gong is the most massive and ruthless of all, because it's done on a nationwide and even worldwide scale. It's not only limited to some region.
Exactly, and it's always the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, that's at the root of all evil. And even now they set their minds on spreading communism to the West.
Definitely. That's why I feel very sad for the government officials in California. We can understand their eagerness to improve the pandemic situation, but how can they prove such spiritual beliefs is non-essential for such improvement? In ancient China, many times it was precisely the case that people survived catastrophes by relying on their righteous faiths and reflecting on their moralities. Faith and belief may be exactly one integral part of the holistic way to deal with the pandemic mentioned in our last video.
That's right, so we still have room for improvement. There's still room for hope. And also, I hope more and more people are awakening. Actually, an organization called Rescue California PAC has already collected over 1.5 million raw signatures needed in California to recall the state governor Gavin Newsom. And we surely hope this is also an opportunity for those officials to realize that this kind of socialist totalitarian measures are quite disastrous to California and that the people are fed up with it.
Yes, and we have to ask ourselves, all these strict regulations pay off or not? So in our next episode, we'll compare California's results with those of another state that chose a different approach. Victor, do you know which state we are referring to?
Yes, I might have a hunch, but let's keep that for later, okay? So, this brings us to the end of the show. I really hoped you liked it.
Bye for now. I see you next time.
Bye. Oh, and before I forget, please like a video, share a video, and subscribe to our channel.